show you how I make my delicious chili dish. And I'm going to start off with, first let me tell you how cold it is. I cannot believe how cold it is in Montreal today. It's minus 22 Celsius and it feels like minus 30, and it's supposed to get even colder tonight. So we're ready for a nice cold night. But my daughter's out at work, and I know when she comes home she's going to want something nice and hot. So I'm going to have this dish already ready, and all I have to do is just heat it up for her. So what I am using is 2 cans of beautiful organic beans, and these are already pre-washed. So I'm going to put that aside. So here we go. We're going to need some olive oil. We're going to need an onion. We're going to need about 2 teaspoons of cumin seeds that we're gonna toast up. 1 teaspoon of my coriander seeds. I've got 2 teaspoons of chili flakes. I have 6 large cloves of garlic that I'm gonna mince. And I have this little extra hot pepper. Not sure what kind it is. My husband picked them up. They're really good. So I'm gonna use one of these. But I'm going to play it by ear because my daughter likes it hot, but she doesn't like it too hot. So I'm going to use this first, or maybe use this one first, and then just keep adding so I get it to the right heat. Otherwise, she's not going to eat dinner at all. But I like it hot. I don't care how hot it is. The hotter the better for me. But I might just add that extra on my dish when I'm eating so I don't have to spoil her meal. So we're going to start off with this. Okay, so we're going to chop up this onion. We're going to put this aside. Just gonna put this here. So I need my garlic press. Should be a little more organized there. So we're gonna start off with pressing my garlic. You could even hand chop it if you don't mind the garlic fingers. Let me just get a knife to cut that off. Okay. So we're just going to keep chopping this up. Crushing the garlic, not chopping the garlic. I used to have such a great garlic press. Then it broke on me. So I replaced it with this one. I just don't like it. But I guess we can be picky, right? I keep wanting to lose this handle. Anyhow, I want to talk about a video my daughter made. It's all in good humor, but it's about the Hodgetwins. I'm not sure if any of you know who they are. And they went from eating loads of animal products to actually removing meat from their diet because they've seen a video. They've seen a video on how inhumane the animal or the cattle industry is. And so they've become vegetarian, where they still have dairy and they still have cheese, on occasion eggs. But to me, it's just as bad. It's just as bad. If they would know how sick these animals are and how much junk they give these animals to keep them from not dying on them, they wouldn't even put that stuff in their mouth. The egg industry, number one, an egg is really a chicken's cycle. And today, I wouldn't put that in my mouth, not even if you paid me money. But the industry, the cattle, those babies are removed from their mom at birth. They're removed from their mom at birth just so that mom could keep giving milk to make the cheese for everyone. For the people, not for everyone, for the people that just still consume dairy, cheese, milk. And it's just so heartbreaking to see what these animals have to go through for 2 minutes of that pleasure that you get in your mouth. Number one, it's very addictive, so it's hard to get rid of. Anyhow, I'll continue that another day. So yes, it is possible. You can quit if you want to, but you'd have to want to. And if those boys are eating that because they think that's good protein, well, let me tell you, it's not protein at all. Look at the Russian bodybuilder. Look at his body. And he lives on plants only. On plants only. He doesn't put that cheese in his body, and he doesn't put milk or eggs in his diet. So if they're doing it for pleasure, I can believe it, because that's the only reason you want to continue eating that stuff, is because you like the taste of it. But when you see the reality, that taste is no longer that tasty when you see what those animals go through. If you actually take a look and see how horrible the udders of those cows are. I know I don't want to make anybody sick because I'm making a dish, but maybe I'll make a whole new video on that and just continue with my dish. Okay, so here we are. I've crushed my 6 garlic cloves, and I am now chopping this onion. I'm only going to use one for now. I don't think I need more than one. But I'm going to cut them up in smallish bits. Go. I should be using a bigger knife. I know I have my ceramic knife somewhere. Just don't know if it's in my drawer. I have a larger one. But I like using a ceramic knife because your vegetables or your fruit doesn't slide off your cutting board. It stays put when you're cutting it, where a metal knife, it'll slide away on you. Okay, so here's my onion. Okay, don't understand why this camera keeps shutting on me, but I'm just gonna repeat myself in case I lost what I did. I cut up about a half a bundle of parsley, and I cut it up pretty roughly. I don't mind having rough pieces in my food, but you can cut this as fine as you want, or you could cut it roughly. It doesn't matter, but you need about a cup of this. And I also mentioned that I do have this recipe on my food blog, so I will link you so you can just copy it down or go there for the recipe. But I will write the recipe down on my video. Okay, what I'm going to go get now is a couple of cans of my tomatoes. Okay, you're going to need 2 cans of tomatoes. I'm using the whole tomatoes that I'm going to crush up by hand. Or you could just cut it up yourself. Pull out the sauce. Okay, you could either use a potato masher, or you could crush it by hand, or you could use a fork, whichever way you prefer. I don't mind getting my hands dirty if I have to. Okay, and I'm just going to toast them, and that's going to help release all the flavors into the pot. So I'm just going to put them on high and just toast them up. Just that they get a little brown. You don't want to burn these, but you just want to start smelling the spices. The smell's amazing. I love when you just brown or toast your spices. It just releases all the oils, and it just adds extra flavor to your food. So when I make my chili, I always give it a little fast toast, And then I start adding other ingredients. Okay, now I'm going to add some olive oil. And I'm not going to add too much because my daughter prefers less fat. And I'm going to add that to the pot along with my garlic. And I'm going to add my onions. It really is easy and it's fast. And we're just going to fry these up just a little bit. This you can lower the heat a bit because you don't want anything to burn on you. Especially the spices that have already been toasted a bit. So we're just going to let this go down a bit on a medium heat. And you want those onions to be almost translucent. But if you put this on high, you're going to burn the garlic, and then it's going to be a mess because garlic tastes really gnarly when it's burnt. So just get this going. And if you want to add some extra oil, go ahead. But I'm going to do this as fat-free as possible. So I'd say I have about maybe 1 tablespoon, maybe a tablespoon and a half of oil in this pot. But if you want it fatty and you want to add extra oil, go ahead and do it. And I'm just going to let its own flavors be the star of this dish rather than all the extra fat. You can see the onions are getting more translucent. This is great. Now I'm going to add just the liquid. To the pot. Because I'm going to be crushing those tomatoes. So I'm just going to add the liquid so it doesn't stick anymore. Ooh, lost the tomato. There we go. And while that's cooking, I'm going to take you back and I'm going to cut some more stuff here. Okay, so I will cut this pepper up. Not sure how much of it I'm going to use, but I will cut it up and have it prepared for the chili dish. This is a perfect dish on a cold night or a cold afternoon, and it's just wonderful. It's a little drier. I leave them out of the package when I buy them, so if I don't consume them right away, they just shrivel up and they dry, and then I just take it and crush it into the meal itself, whatever meal I'm making. So here's my extra heat if I want it. And I'm going to put this aside. I have my parsley. Now we're going to cut down these tomatoes. Now we'll use a bigger knife. So I'm just going to take these tomatoes and I'm going to cut them roughly. I'm not going to... You could use a food processor, but they might just get too over chopped. And these, like I said, you could either cut them or you can use your hands and just give them a fast squish. Or you could even take a potato masher and just cut them. If I had diced, I would have used my my diced tomato, but I didn't have any dice on hand. So I'm using my whole tomatoes that I have. It really is fast. If you get all your ingredients put together, it doesn't take long to make this dish. And I'm going to check it later on to see if I need some extra cumin or if I want some extra coriander. I'll just add it while the dish is cooking. We're going to add the beans. There you go. The beans are in. And we're just going to let this cook and simmer down. I'm going to put it on a higher heat. Add my parsley. You really can't go wrong with this dish. You just add and just let it cook on a, bring it to a boil and then just simmer it down and let it just cook and have all those flavors marry together. I'm going to add some salt. I'm just going to use sea salt because I don't have any more of my gray salt. And I would say about maybe half a teaspoon to start off with, and if we need more, we'll just add it. Okay, so I'm going to take some liquid smoke. Teaspoon of liquid smoke. I'm going to add some maple. We're going to add about, oh, there you go, maybe a tablespoon of maple to start the liquid smoke. And I'm going to chop up some potatoes that I'm going to add to this dish. And I'm going to chop up about 3 to 4 potatoes depending on the size that I have. And then we're going to just let it all simmer down. Okay, these are organic potatoes, so if you want you could even leave the skin and give it more of a rustic look. And I might just leave the skin on one and the other ones I will peel. We're just going to cut them up in smallish pieces. So here's one potato going in. And this other one I said I was going to peel. But yeah, you could either peel them or you can just leave them with the skin. But if they're not organic, I recommend peel your potatoes. It's really up to you. If you want your, keep your maple handy, keep your liquid smoke handy. Because if you want it sweeter, if you want it more smoky, you just add as much as you want to it. And right now I only have 2 cans of beans. But I might even throw in either another can of beans or I might throw in some seitan. So I'm going to peel this other potato. I'm not sure if any of you have used a ceramic knife, but it helps your certain vegetables not to oxidize and get darker. Have you ever cut up an apple and not even 15 minutes later it's almost black? But if you use a ceramic knife, it keeps your apple nice and bright. And it goes the same thing with potatoes. And that's it. If I want this to be spicier, I will add this extra into the dish. But I'm going to check it in a bit to see if if it's spicy. Oh, this is good already. I'm going to use maybe half for now. And I'm going to show you how I make my sour cream that's going to go on top of this dish. So I'm just going to let it come to a boil, and then I'm going to reduce and just let it simmer. And the longer you let this cook on a low simmer, the better it tastes. Just keep an eye on it once in a while to make sure that you're not burning it, that it doesn't stick at the bottom. And if you need extra maybe liquids, you could add a little bit of water. But just keep an eye on it, and let it simmer all night long. Okay, so it's coming to a boil. And now I'm just going to reduce the heat. I'm going to put on a low heat, put my lid on, and I'm just going to let it simmer. It's that easy. Now I'm going to take you back, and we're going to make some sour cream. Okay, I have some cashews that I've been soaking. So I've got a cup of cashews. Just a little more. Okay. So here's a cup of cashews that I'm putting in there. You're going to need about a quarter cup of citrus or vinegar. But because I don't like it all vinegar, what I do is I squeeze the juice of one lime, and the rest is going to be apple cider vinegar. So I am going to just top that up to make it a quarter cup. I prefer the taste of the lime rather the apple cider vinegar. And I'm going to use about half a cup of water. There we go. I'm not going to use all of it. I'm just going to use a bit. This is about half a cup of water. If I need more, I'll get it. And I have salt and an onion. Rather than using the onion powder, I use onion flakes. They're dried up onions. Yeah, half a teaspoon of salt, and I'm using about a teaspoon of onion flakes. And that's going to go in. I'm going to add a little bit of maple just for added sweetness. Just a little bit. I would say about half a teaspoon. I'm going to close this off, and I'm going to blend it up. I'm using the NutriBullet, but if you have also a Vitamix, you can use it in there. But I'm using my NutriBullet because it works just as good. Check it, and this will thicken up. This will thicken up even more in the refrigerator. This is so good. I'm just going to blend it a little more. So it's very easy to make this. Like I said, you take a cup of cashews that you're going to soak. So you will need 1 cup of cashews that have been pre-soaked. You're going to need, I'd say about a quarter cup of citrus. You could either use all citrus or you could use apple cider vinegar. What I did was I used the juice of 1 lime, and the rest I topped it off with my cider vinegar, which was maybe about a tablespoon of the vinegar itself. So I prefer, like I said, I prefer the lime rather than all vinegar. And then I used salt, which is about a half a teaspoon of salt. And I used a teaspoon of onion flakes. And that's how you make your sour cream. This is going to get thicker in the refrigerator, so I advise make this, if you're making chili and you don't have any sour cream, make it ahead of time. If you can make this days ahead of time, because this is going to stay in the refrigerator for a long time. What's a long time? It's not going to stay in there for a year, but it's going to stay there for weeks. And if you don't use it up all for your chili dish, you can also take a bit of it and add some herbs and make a nice salad dressing. Okay, let's take a look. And there's our sour cream. Look at that. Look how thick it is. And this is going to get thicker in the refrigerator. Isn't it beautiful? I'm going to put this in a bowl. I'm going to put this in a dish and have this ready. And I'll show you how beautiful it is and thick. There is my beautiful sour cream. And remember, this only gets thicker as it stays in the refrigerator. I'm sorry, I wasn't even on camera. I should get my act together, eh? So here it is. And like I said, this only gets thicker as it sits in the refrigerator. So make it ahead of time. I should have made this yesterday, but I made it today. I wanted to show you, and I didn't have a chance yesterday to record anything. But here is our beautiful sour cream. And that's going to go on top of the chili tonight with some chopped up cilantro. And there's the beautiful sour cream. So I did add an extra can of beans. I added some black beans to this recipe and I made it nice and thick. And as you can see, it's simmering down really nice and it's picking up all the flavors and it's just going to be delicious tonight. So I hope you enjoy this recipe. And as for the cashew, the sour cream cashew, I forgot to say also add some maple because that really adds a nice sweetness to the cashew sour cream. But I hope you enjoy this recipe. If you like it, give me a thumbs up and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.